So we're going to contemplate this morning verses 1 and 3, although I think I've ordered that wrong on your page, but nevertheless, 1 and 3, not 1 and 2. From Psalm 37, which was our reading at the beginning of last week. And this is part 1. We're going to take a look at these verses again next week. Do not fret yourself because of evil doings, neither be thou envious. Oh, I did the King James, sorry. Neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. Trust in the Lord and do good. So shall you dwell in the land, and truly you shall be fed. Let's begin by taking a look at this word evil doings and just a very easy, basic understanding. What this word signifies are those things, actions, thoughts, guidings of culture, whatever it may be, that harm or mar or disorder life. It's that which harms or mars or disorders life so that it lacks beauty and goodness and well-being. I'm going to say that all together this time. That which harms or mars or disorders life so that it lacks beauty and goodness and well-being. That's evil. What is evil is what does something to life as God has made it. That's what makes it evil. It's not that there are some arbitrary set of rules, and if you do the opposite of this, that's evil. Evil is what corrupts life that God gives. All right? Very simple. Go ahead.
Well, or here's my thoughts.
Yeah.
The evil doings, the thoughts of evil doings is not evil doings. It's if you act on the thoughts of, then they become evil doings, right?
Yes.
You can't control your thoughts.
No.
Stuff comes, the enemy throws stuff there. We have to do something with it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm interpreting that right, because you said evil doings and you said thoughts at first.
Yeah. And by thoughts, what I mean are not the things that, it's like Martin Luther said, I can't stop the birds from flying over my head, but I can stop them from making a nest in my hair. And so thoughts are going to fly around in your head all the time, and you're not going to be able to control, oh, there's an invasive thought, oh, there's an invasive thought. But as we'll see, there is a way of fretting your thoughts that develops them. And that's what we don't want. Okay? So are we clear on what we're meaning by evil? Okay. So, he says, do not fret yourself. The word fret is this really descriptive word. It means to kindle a fire. And so it speaks about that which promotes or stirs up burning. And the burning is used in a couple of different ways. So, that which promotes or stirs up burning anger. And burning is oftentimes associated with anger in Scripture for a couple of reasons. But the one for our purposes this morning is that anger, like fire, consumes. And if you start kindling up your anger, that anger is going to consume you. And it will consume the life around you as well. So that all that is good and beautiful and all of that well-being simply becomes incinerated and burns down around you. So you don't want to kindle that kind of fire, do you? Do you? that phrase, the way I put it, do you? Oh my gosh. Do you know that there are people who listen to this and they think, he's their pastor? Gosh. We all think that too, people who are listening. So what we just said, it's kindling that anger, but it also means to stir up the experience of being burned. So fire does two things to us. We can burn things down with fire, but fire can also hurt us. And that's the other side here. So,
can you say that again?
Mm-hmm.
You can stir up what?
Sure. The don't fret yourself is about that which stirs up the experience of being burned. And so we experience that burning as anxiety or affliction. So there are ways in which we can stir up our own anxiety. There are ways in which we can feed the fire of affliction in our own lives. And today we would say, don't work yourself up. But that lacks this beautiful picture, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's come to the question, the first question. What are some of the ways that we fret ourselves, kindle ourselves to anger, kindle ourselves to anxiety or affliction when we experience evil doings? What are some of the ways that we fret ourselves when we experience evil doings?
You go back and think about what we could have done to put them in their place.
Yes. We go back, and if it's a person, we can think about ways we could put them in their place.
Run and hide.
Yeah. Yes. We can simply hide. Think about, again, an evil doing is what disorders or mars or harms life so that it lacks beauty and goodness and well-being. There are all the time, aren't there, experiences where things go wrong in our life, and now life isn't beautiful anymore. Now we have completely lost our sense of well-being. Now there is no good, and we experience that well-being. How do we work that up for ourselves? How do we kindle that?
We dwell on bad things and new things, and how did we react? You relive it over in your head. You dwell on it. Could have done this. Could have done that. Should have done this. Should have done that. And that stirs it up and makes it even worse.
Yep.
Another thing we do is we gossip in the attempt to shame
We do.
the other person and get people on our side or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And all that's doing is building the anger or the anxiety or the sense of hurt that we've got inside. Absolutely.
Then you deal with the shame and how you talked about
Yeah,
It snowballs, doesn't it?
it does. It does.
I'm thinking of past situations because it's easier in my head right now. But I feel like sometimes it's not necessarily at you, but it's you make it personal. So it could just be something that happens, but it's just you made it personal, and you're like, well, that annoys me. That person, So then it's instead of just letting it go, internalize it, make it personal, and think, whether that's someone that
Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. How many times do situations happen where there is no, at least, human person behind what's happening, and things fall apart, and we get so angry, we personalize it. Look, this is happening to me. Yeah, very true.
Sometimes it can be how can I fix this? What can I do to fix this?
Mm-hmm.
My role in fixing.
And we've got to be in touch with these ways that we fret that we are kindling the fire, because it's not a fire to start with. We kindle that. And that's the very thing that the Scripture is saying to us. The Spirit is saying to us, you don't have to feed the fire. Become aware of the ways that you add kindling, so that this now starts to burn out of control in your life and you lose control. Oh my gosh. I mean, think about the times when, and we live in a culture where this is so easy. All we have to do is just turn on the news, and we have this litany of how everything is going to hell in a handbasket. Everything is burning down around us. We can do that and give that our attention in ways that exclude God. So often when we're fretting, what we're doing is we're narrowing the focus of reality to this thing. And it is this thing where God is not present. And because we narrow our focus to such a pinpoint that it doesn't include God, we can't see that God is present in the middle of it. And so all of the beauty has not been removed. All of the goodness is not removed. There is well-being here. We're simply focusing on the place we don't see it. And that's how we kindle things. That's how we stoke the fire. So among the things that this psalm tells us that we can do in response instead of fretting, verse 3 talks about trust in the Lord and do good, so you shall dwell in the land, and truly you shall be fed. The last parts of that we'll deal with next time. This morning, we want to deal with trust in the Lord. So let's take a look at this word trust, because this is not the word we would simply make as a synonym to believe in God. There's something different happening here. So, interestingly enough, in its first instance, the word trust means to confide in. Isn't that interesting? To confide in. So we begin to trust God when we confide in Him what's going on. Now, of course, to confide in is not to rail against God. Not because God can't take it. It's just that that's not confiding. We don't rail against, but we confess what's going on. Not only the circumstances, but what's going on in us as we are experiencing this sense of being burned by this. So what is the difference between confiding in someone and complaining to someone?
One is productive and the other one isn't. Right?
That's so true. Did you hear me? He says one is productive and one isn't. Yes. Yeah.
That's the simple answer.
Yes, very practical. Anyone else? What are some differences?
You're looking for help.
Thank you. Yes, confiding, you're actually looking for response. You're looking for help.
Complaining is just feeding the fire.
Complaining simply feeds the fire. Yes. This was a memory verse for us eons back. Do all things without grumbling or complaining. Remember? That's the verse that we really didn't like from Philippians. But that's exactly what it's getting to with this, yes. Any others?
Confiding or confessing can bring forth the reality or the truth about the situation, not the deception. Complaining can often lead to a skew vision.
Yes.
Which will equal the, false self, the false interpretation.
Right.
The fretting.
Yes. So confiding and confessing leads to view things as they really are, whereas complaining doesn't.
It distorts that view.
Yes, it distorts. That's a good way to say it. Thanks, David.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the Lord wants us to confess with one another.
Yes, to say the same as. See, biblical confession is to say the same thing about something that God says. You're agreeing with Him. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
I was going to ask. It's agreeing with God that yes, I'm going through this.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
trusting in the outcome is with Him.
Yes. Yeah. And we're going to expand on that in just a pinch when we come to point 2. But that's exactly right, Laura. Yeah. Any others? Okay, so the second part of trust, once you confide in someone, the second thing that follows only makes sense. You open yourself to their response. Because you're confiding, you're seeking the help, you're asking for what does this really look like. So you've confided your situation, how you feel, to the person. Now the question is, what does he or she say that gives you the sense of beauty, goodness, well-being that is in your situation? I'm saying that on purpose because that leads back to what is the evil doing. Evil doing is that which corrupts the goodness or the beauty or the well-being of life. The response, you confide in someone in such a time so that they can respond to you with a way in which goodness and beauty and well-being can be found. Does that make sense? And these words, in your situation, what does he or she say that gives you a sense of beauty, goodness, well-being in your situation? Not another situation, but this one. Those words are critical, in your situation, because the response is not about how can you avoid this. You're already there. It's about how do you walk through it without losing beauty and goodness and well-being that the evil doing is attacking. Do you get that? Does that make sense?
Makes big sense, yeah.
Well, hopefully you've chosen somebody who can speak the truth, because truth does that. Truth brings out the beauty, speaking the truth. So hopefully you can find somebody that you chose well.
Yes. Well, and that's why what we see in the psalm is trust in the Lord.
I
Right?
got two things going on in my head.
Mm.
One is confiding in someone could be like me confiding in you. But then also there's times where it's just appropriate to take it to the Lord and nobody else.
Right. And that's what we're talking about here in terms of, because the psalm says trust in the Lord. We're simply defining what does confide or what does trust mean. All right? Yeah.
The second part is don't be an asshole. We've all heard that term probably.
No,
And that's,
but I like it.
Okay. Asshole. Don't be an asshole. That's somebody.
ASKHOLE.
That's where somebody constantly asks somebody for advice, but then they go and turn around and do the opposite of the advice. But they continually ask.
It is.
It's I don't know if it's in Webster's, but it's there. It's something new. But it is new and it is a term. But but I can, like, if you think about that, like, there's a lot of times where I've gone to you over and over again for advice and I want to do what you say
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to Bob.
I don't think so.
And like 8 times out of 10, I might. But even though I know what to do, I still come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be considered an asshole because I don't always follow it and I do the opposite.
I think we all can find ourselves
This
in
is
that.
on tape, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It goes out to the world. Yeah,
But you know what I mean.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Shut up.
No, that's fine. Anyone else have anything you want to respond to or question in this? So what would it look like for you to trust the Lord as you face evil doing?
Well, I would say spending time with the Lord, confiding in Him what I'm thinking is attack or whatever. What am I in the middle of? And then listening and doing, understanding He is there with me, and then doing whatever He tells me to do. That progression, any harm or marring that the evil doing wants to bring about.
Right, very good.
I think I would ask, the first thing would be, if I were in the middle of that, I would have to ask for discernment. Wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And to pause and try to stop before we internalize it all. If there was a warning, and like, uh-oh, this is happening.
Yeah. That's good.
For me, it's asking God, where does this thought come from? Or where is this behavior, or where is this feeling coming from? Help me to understand.
This requires patience because to find yourself there as quickly as that can come on you, and as quickly as you can just respond or react based on what's coming at you and what has happened maybe previously in similar situations, to have the patience to be able to wait, and
Yes.
even if you feel that way, wait before you make the decision that, yeah, this is what's happening and I should lash out and be offended, or that was disrespectful to me, so,
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, it's when experiencing evil doing, like you had pointed out, we get so focused on this pinpoint that God is outside the picture. And so that's what it would look like, is to trust God and say, God, you're in the midst of this. Show me your ways in this. Show me what's going on.
Trust Him to protect you instead of having to protect yourself and go
Yeah.
on the offensive
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Who else is going to stand up for you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the ways that we expand the vision, because the pinpoint view is about just this thing, and we don't see the context because God is always the context. As we confide in God, that broadens the context automatically, doesn't it? To bring what you're experiencing to God rather than just complaining about it. Immediately then is a way of saying God is present here. God is in the midst of this. Because how else are you addressing Him unless He's present?
I guess what's important to me is knowing that He's closer than a brother. Just not thinking into a higher power. This is an actual being. I like to think of Him as a person, and I'm going to an individual, not just something out there. Yeah, this is an actual person that I'm going to. That helps me to just feel like I'm being comforted.
Absolutely, Jeff. Well said. Which really moves into the final question. Let's just take it right there. How does the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus unveil God's beauty, goodness, and well-being that withstands and conquers evil doing? And I see that connection in that It's the person, Jesus, that reveals the Father, that reveals God, who God is, that God isn't just a force. He is a person in relation with us. And I would then want to push past that and at least say, and we'll talk more about this point at some other time, so I'm not going to go past this, but we don't know anything as beautiful until it takes some kind of form. Beauty demands a form in order to be known. That form may be a form in front of us. It may be the form of notes in a song. It may be the form of words on a page. But beauty must take some form in order to see it as beautiful. And what we have in Jesus is the form that God's beauty takes. And so the beauty that God is unveiled in the form that Jesus is. So that when we look at Jesus, we are seeing goodness and beauty in tangible forms. How does he treat the leper? How does he treat those who are oppressed? What does he do in light of our sin and brokenness? He gives himself to bring us well-being and goodness. That's what beauty looks like, because that's what God's love is. And the beauty of God is the beauty of his love. And what keeps that from being just some sort of esoteric thought is you see it embodied. It takes the form of the life and death and resurrection of Jesus. So it's not a matter of simply describing a sunset. Sunsets are pretty. They are pretty because. And you say that, well, you get an idea of what a sunset may be, but if you go out and look at it, now you've encountered it. And that's what inspires your trust, isn't it? The point is to go to Jesus because Jesus embodies God's beauty. He is the form it takes. Jesus embodies God's goodness. It is the form it takes. And Jesus embodies God's peace and well-being. He is the form it takes. And of course, the wonderful thing is we live and move and have our being in him. We then have access to God's form of beauty and goodness and well-being. Any thoughts, follow-ups, or questions? All right. In just a few moments, we're going to be celebrating this life of beauty and goodness and well-being that we have in Jesus. Reflect on that. What is the nature of that life? And then come and take from the bread and the cup.